Introduction. Have you ever stopped to think that your desperate desire to manifest what you want might be exactly what's keeping it from arriving? I know, it sounds counterintuitive. But what if I told you that stopping the wanting is what truly unlocks the flow of abundance? Yes, what works every time isn't chasing things like you're always one step behind happiness, but learning to let go. Radical? Totally. And necessary. Most people are trapped in the cycle of, I need this to be happy. They wait for reality to change before allowing themselves to feel peace, joy, or security. But the universe doesn't respond to desperation. It responds to frequency. Quantum manifestation doesn't happen because you're obsessed with the result, but because you're energetically ready to receive. And guess what? Being ready starts with no longer forcing, no longer wanting from a place of emotional tension, no longer aligning with absence. If you've tried everything, affirmations, visualizations, manifestation journals, the 5x55 method, Grabovoi codes, and nothing seems to work, this video is for you. Here, we go straight to the point. What no one told you about the real power of letting go. And no, it's not about giving up. It's about breaking free. You'll understand how to shift identity, dissolve hidden resistance, stop people-pleasing, align with your desires, and allow them to flow into your life effortlessly. You'll see that everything that once felt hard, distant, or impossible was only waiting for you to step aside. This is for those ready to stop surviving and start creating, for those tired of wanting and finally ready to receive. But listen, if you still believe life is all about struggling for every little thing, this might shake you. Get ready. The truth that sets you free often feels uncomfortable at first, but that's where the liberation begins. And if you have the courage to look at all this with honesty, question your own assumptions, and release control, what happens next may seem like a miracle. But it's not a miracle. It's quantum energy responding to expanded consciousness. It's soul transformation. It's the breakthrough few ever talk about. But that changes everything. Letting go means surrendering resistance. It's funny how most people still confuse letting go with giving up. It's like they were trained to believe that if they're not constantly fighting, they're losing. But real mastery begins when you realize that letting go is actually an act of courage. It's not about abandoning your dreams, but releasing the mental and emotional grip you have on them. Life flows more freely when you stop resisting the current. And that's when true reality shifting begins. When you stop swimming upstream, you discover that the river already knows the way. Quantum manifestation isn't magic, it's permission. Permission for energy to reorganize without your anxious interference. Letting go of resistance is like unlocking a door you didn't even know was locked. It's like stopping your yelling at the universe long enough to hear it whisper back. How many times have you tried to force an outcome? Force a relationship? Force an opportunity? That pressure blocks quantum energy, and consciousness expansion only happens when you relax. When you stop fearing loss, the universe assumes you already have, and then the having manifests. That's why it's so important to align with abundance before it arrives. You know that saying, fake it till you make it? It only works when your soul isn't screaming for validation underneath. Manifest abundance isn't performance. It's a natural state. Here's a practical example. Let's say you're looking for a new job. You send out resumes, say affirmations, maybe even light a candle or two, but deep down, you feel anxious. That tightness in your chest, that's resistance. Now imagine shifting your posture. You still send out resumes, but with a conviction that the right job is also looking for you. You read books like The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer or Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and begin to see how surrender creates space for miracles. Same action, different energy, totally different result. Now, don't get it twisted. This doesn't mean becoming a passive observer of your own life. Those who truly understand the law of attraction know it doesn't mean do nothing. It means act with aligned consciousness. Letting go is a delicate dance between inspired action and deep trust. You take steps, but you're not attached. You want something, but you're not dependent on it. That's energy alignment. When your intention matches the vibration of what you're calling in, life stops being a battlefield and becomes fertile ground for quantum leaps. And once you start operating from the surrendered state, Something surprising happens. What you thought you needed was actually blocking your growth. The anxious mind creates urgency. The awakened soul honors divine timing. And in that quiet, powerful space, you begin to hear your intuition again. That's the true beginning of spiritual awakening. Not some fireworks show of enlightenment, but a calm voice that whispers, I trust. And maybe, just maybe, that silence leads you to question the very beliefs you've been holding about how change actually happens. Beliefs shape the process of change. The biggest turning point in anyone's life starts with something most people overlook, the beliefs they carry about change itself. Yes, those inner mantras like, I can't, this isn't for me, or letting go is too hard. These thoughts seem harmless, but they act like invisible walls between you and the transformation you seek. The mind loves comfort zones disguised as protection, but really, they're just golden cages. And no quantum manifestation can thrive if, deep down, you believe change is impossible. Your soul wants to fly, but your mind keeps gluing your feet to the floor of your old identity. Think about it. If you believe change is painful, slow, or uncertain, guess what? It'll be exactly that. And this isn't just toxic positivity or wishful thinking. It's neuroscience, quantum physics, and emotional conditioning. Quantum energy responds to the frequency you maintain, not the cute affirmation you say in the mirror. It's like trying to change the TV channel by turning the volume knob. Nothing shifts because your frequency remains the same. True reality shifting starts when you begin to doubt your own doubt. And that, my friend, is an internal revolution. Want a practical step? Start observing your automatic self-talk. For 1 week, write down everything you say about yourself. I'm so anxious. I'm a mess. I never get it right. There you go. That's your vibrational script. Then, rewrite those phrases into something more empowering. Even if your mind resists it, replace them with, I'm learning to calm myself. I'm bringing more order to my life. I'm fully capable of building what I want. Sounds simple, but this is how you hack your inner operating system. That's consciousness expansion, and with time, it changes everything, including your external reality. The magic of manifest abundance isn't in believing harder in your desires. It's in dissolving what's blocking you from feeling they're already possible. That's why some mantras don't work. You say them with one foot on the gas and the other on the brake. Your hidden belief is canceling out your spoken word. Real law of attraction requires internal honesty. And shifting a belief isn't about erasing something from your brain. It's about replacing it with consistency. Just like you were conditioned to limit yourself, you can condition yourself to expand. And once this new mindset starts to take root, something beautiful unfolds. Change stops feeling like a burden and starts feeling like a calling, an invitation to awaken parts of yourself that were asleep. With each belief that dissolves, a new version of you is born, and that's soul transformation. But sometimes, even as those new beliefs begin to blossom, a sneaky old pattern reappears. The need to please others, to win approval by betraying your own truth. People-pleasing is masked self-abandonment. At first glance, being the nice one seems like a virtue, right? The person who's always available, who solves everything, who avoids conflict, usually gets praised by everyone. But behind that generous facade often hides a quiet pain. The one who learned that to be loved, they must disappear. People-pleasing at its core isn't empathy. It's a sophisticated form of self-abandonment. It's when you trade your truth for someone else's approval. Your soul screams for freedom, and you silence it with a smile. And in that frequency, manifest abundance becomes a lock game because you're operating outside of your own energy alignment. The truth is you can't please everyone, and try to will only breed frustration. People who live in this approval addiction mode don't realize they're creating a vibrational field of lack. The universe doesn't read your words. It reads your energy. And if you constantly say yes when you mean no, it interprets that you prefer imbalanced relationships. So guess what it sends you more of? More situations that require self-sacrifice. Reality shifting only begins when you dare to take a stand, even if that causes discomfort, because growth always brings discomfort. Want to see how this looks in real life? Imagine someone asks for your help, a big favor that will take hours of your time, and you're exhausted. But you say, Sure, of course, while secretly feeling resentful. That's textbook self-abandonment. Now, if you take a breath, feel into your body and respond with, I'd love to help, but today I'm prioritizing rest. Let's check in another time. Boom. You just honored yourself and taught the other person how to treat you. That's soul transformation in action. The hardest part of this journey? Guilt. That gnawing guilt when you start setting boundaries. But hear me. Guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you're rewiring your system. You're breaking out an old program that taught you love must be earned through sacrifice. And in that reprogramming, affirmations can help a lot. Try repeating, my worth is not measured by how much I please others. Or, it's safe to be true to myself, even if others don't approve. Over time, this shifts your field. And quantum energy always responds to alignment. And when you start living more aligned with your truth, something magical happens. The tension you once avoided becomes a portal to authenticity. The need to please gets replaced by the desire to express. And you realize real abundance doesn't come from being accepted. It comes from self-acceptance. But then, another question bubbles up. What if you didn't have to chase what you want anymore? What if you could align with it and let it come to you? Abundance and identity alignment. There's a massive difference between wanting abundance and being someone who lives in abundance. Most people try to manifest from a place of lack. They want a new relationship because they feel lonely, more money because they feel scarcity, peace because they live in chaos. But here's a truth bomb. The universe doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are. And when you start vibrating as someone who already has, you activate the quantum energy that collapses that reality into your life. Manifest abundance isn't about chasing. It's about aligning. And it starts with the question, who do I need to become for this to feel normal in my life? This is a secret few talk about. True abundance isn't earned. It's embodied. Saying, I'm prosperous, while acting like someone who counts every penny won't work. It's like wearing a lion costume while meowing like a kitten. The universe isn't impressed by pretty words. It reacts to the frequency of your identity. That's where reality shifting begins. When you stop behaving like someone who lacks. Desire alone doesn't shift reality. Identity does. Energy speaks louder than intention. Let's take a practical example. You want to attract money, but you feel uncomfortable talking about it. You avoid investing in yourself and constantly say, I can't afford it. What are you telling the universe? I'm not someone who handles money well. Now try this instead. Buy that book you've been putting off. Money, a love story by Kate Northrup is great. Say yes to getting paid for something you usually do for free, or stop apologizing for wanting more. These small actions show coherence between who you are and what you want. Quantum manifestation responds fast when there's internal alignment. Of course, this means dismantling old identity layers. The ones that told you wanted more is selfish, money is evil, or abundance is only for the lucky few. These beliefs aren't yours. They're emotional inheritances from systems that normalize scarcity. To break the cycle, you have to do something bold. Expand your consciousness and redefine what's normal for you. When prosperity becomes your new normal, you stop chasing and start co-creating with ease. That's energy alignment, when who you are, how you feel, and what you experience become one. And what's most incredible is that once this clicks, you realize everything that once felt impossible was simply a matter of misaligned identity. Your external reality is just a reflection of who you believe you are. So instead of asking, what do I need to do to have it? You begin asking, who do I choose to be today? And in that process of reconnecting with yourself, you realize that saying yes to yourself often means saying no to the patterns that expect you to sacrifice for others. Empowerment over enabling. There's a thin and dangerous line between helping someone and carrying them on your back. That line is called enabling. It's when, in an effort to be helpful, you end up taking away the other person's power to take responsibility for their own life. This shows up a lot in financial dynamics. A relative who always asks for a loan, a friend who only shows up when they're broke. And you, big-hearted as you are, give in. But when that giving isn't rooted in energy alignment, you're not helping. You're sacrificing. True manifest abundance doesn't thrive in dependency. It thrives in conscious exchange. Saying no is one of the deepest forms of love. Because real love empowers, it doesn't weaken. But for someone who grew up believing they must always save others, setting boundaries feels like selfishness, when in truth, it's a powerful act of self-awareness. Soul transformation happens when you choose to honor your energy, even if it disappoints others. And yes, it may sting at first. But overgiving while neglecting yourself isn't generosity. It's self-abandonment in a pretty package. Let's get practical. Imagine someone asks you for money and says, "Just this once, I swear." Before you act impulsively, ask yourself, am I doing this from alignment or from guilt? If it's guilt, the emotional cost will be high. Instead, try helping in a different way. Recommend a book like Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, share a helpful video, or offer a supportive conversation without financial commitment. That's empowerment. It's offering tools instead of carrying someone else's load while your own bag is falling apart. Quantum consciousness teaches us that everything is an energy exchange. If you're constantly giving without checking what you're receiving, even if it's just gratitude or mutual growth, you're building a reality where your boundaries are ignored. The universe reads that as permission for more imbalance. And when you constantly sacrifice beyond what's necessary, you're not vibrating in fullness. You're vibrating in fear of not being loved if you stop giving. See how everything traces back to identity? Over time, you realize that it's possible to love someone without solving everything for them. That your role isn't to be the hero of their story, but the protagonist of your own. And once you step into that role, something shifts. You attract more autonomous people, healthier relationships, and lighter experiences. That's when the quantum leap happens. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop playing savior, you finally discover the most powerful thing you can do is simply be. But that brings us to a deeper question. Are you truly focused on being or still fixated on outcomes? Focus on being, not outcomes. Some people spend their lives trying to manifest the perfect result. Winning the lottery, finding their soulmate, waking up with millions in their bank account without lifting a finger. Dreaming big is great. The problem starts when your entire focus is on having, not on being. But the universe doesn't negotiate with anxious energy. It responds to your identity's frequency, remember? So if you want the prize before becoming someone who knows how to handle it, the universe might give it to you, but you'll likely lose it, not as punishment, but because of vibrational misalignment. Quantum manifestation demands coherence, and coherence starts with who am I, not what do I want. Think about lottery winners who go broke in just a few years. It's not bad luck, it's lack of inner readiness. They received external abundance without the inner structure to hold it. What happens next? Unconscious sabotage. Because the brain always seeks to return to the familiar, even if the familiar is scarcity. It's like changing your clothes without showering, new on the outside, but the old patterns still stink. Lasting manifest abundance comes when you become someone who breathes prosperity, who thinks like someone who has, who acts like someone who trusts. That's when the universe delivers joyfully. Want a way to put this into practice? Stop asking, how do I get this fast? And start asking, what would the version of me who already lives this life do? Then act like that version. If your abundant self wakes up early, reads books like The Power of Now, or says affirmations like, I'm a magnet for aligned opportunities, then it's time to step into that. Even if your current reality hasn't caught up yet. That's the secret. Identity precedes outcome. The quantum field doesn't operate on when I have it, I'll be it. It works on when you are it, you'll have it. That's the true reality shifting, moving from the mindset of waiting. When it happens, I'll change, to the embodiment of because I changed, it happened. And this applies to everything. Love, health, wealth, inner peace. Consciousness expansion isn't just about understanding pretty ideas. It's about integrating consistent behavior. Being is more powerful than pretending. So while you're waiting for the miracle, the universe is waiting on you, not to test you, but to match your energy. When you vibrate in authenticity, it responds with precision. That's energy alignment at its purest. But look, on the path of becoming, the ego can sneak in wearing a spiritual robe. That little voice that says, now I'm more awakened than others. I see what they don't. I'm a chosen light worker. Sound enlightened, but often it's just spiritual pride in disguise. And what was supposed to be transformation becomes a new kind of prison. That's when the next challenge shows up: the spiritual ego judgment, and the need to feel superior to those who haven't awakened yet. Spiritual ego and judgment. At the beginning of a spiritual awakening, everything feels magical. You start seeing patterns, synchronicities. You feel like you've discovered a secret few ever do. And then, without realizing it, the ego puts on a white robe, lights some incense, and whispers, "You are special." Boom. The spiritual ego trap is set. That feeling of being the chosen one, the light worker, the truth bearer. The problem? It separates you instead of connecting you. True spiritual awakening doesn't put you on a pedestal. It helps you step down with humility. It's not about being more awake than others. It's about honoring that everyone is exactly where they need to be. This trap is subtle. You begin to judge those who haven't woken up yet. You feel impatient with people who don't talk about consciousness expansion. You criticize those still stuck in the matrix. But here's the thing: wherever there is judgment, ego is present. And ego, even with crystals in its pocket, is still ego, no matter how enlightened it looks. Quantum manifestation only happens with an open heart. An open heart judges less and embraces more. Energy alignment doesn't vibe with superiority. Abundance doesn't flow where there is separation. It requires presence, and presence is the absence of comparison. Let's get real. If you catch yourself thinking, "These people are still asleep," replace that thought with, "Every soul has its time and path." Game changer. Instead of trying to force someone else's awakening, you become the example, the one who inspires by being, not preaching. A great book for this is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. It teaches how true expansion comes from observing the ego, not dressing it up in spiritual language. Soul transformation often happens quietly, behind the scenes, far from the spotlight of performative spirituality. And yes, it's absolutely possible to have deep spiritual experiences, see subtle truths, tap into quantum realms, and still fall into ego traps. That's part of the journey. The key is to notice it and come back. Because the more awakened you are, the more energetic responsibility you carry. True consciousness isn't measured by what you know, but by how much compassion you can embody. Manifest abundance flows more freely when you stop trying to prove something to the world or to yourself. In the end, what blocks expansion the most isn't ignorance. It's arrogance disguised as enlightenment. Your soul doesn't want you to feel special. It wants you to remember that everyone is special. And the more you align with that truth, the more your reality mirrors that unity. And maybe, just maybe, when you stop needing to be chosen, the universe finally chooses you. So tell me, how many times have you tried to change your reality by focusing only on the outcome, while ignoring who you were becoming in the process? How many times have you said, "I want, I need, I can't wait any longer," and nothing changed? Maybe because you were still trying to control what only reveals itself when you let go. The real question is, are you ready to release control and align with the flow? What are you going to do from here? Keep repeating the same patterns, hoping life surprises you? Or actually apply what you just learned? Will you keep sabotaging yourself to please others? Or finally say yes to your own energy? What you decide today could be your quantum leap, but only if you act from a new state of consciousness. Take a look at your life right now. Where are you resisting? Where are you still holding on? Where do you pretend you're in control while secretly fearing the unknown? If you're brave enough to answer that, you've already taken the first step. And if you want to keep going on this journey of expansion, transformation, and conscious creation, you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who needs a shift right now. Around here, we keep it real. We talk about true transformation, about energy that shapes worlds. And this journey, it's only just beginning.